Together, we are unstoppable. Join me.
Are you kidding?
Tombstone.
All right there, geezers. It's Jules here alongside James.
Hello.
And we are here today to talk not about the state of play that dropped last night, but instead the state of Suicide Squad, because people have got a lot of conflicting emotions. And I understand where a lot of people are coming from. There's a lot of frustration about how the game maybe looks, plays, the content within, the entire gameplay loop and the end game content. But we are going to be starting with the positives about what this game does right, and then potentially see where it veers so far off into the wrong category. Now, James, you've had a fair amount of time with this game here. Hit me with those positives, man. Tell me why I should play the Suicide Squad.
Right, I'm going to be real with you. I played it for 5 hours, almost entirely in co-op with a good mate of mine who got early access too. And I will say that we got early access, thank you to Warner Brothers. So, genuinely, we did get the game. Initially, I quite like the environment. Metropolis feels a little bit like Comic-Con, but on steroids. There's massive statues of Wonder Woman. There's just clues to previous Arkham stuff everywhere. Yeah. And there's the Hall of Justice where the Justice League do their justice
yeah.
But also there's a museum and kids can come and see it.
Fair
and
enough.
There's big statues and holograms of people. It's I'm the Flash and I sort of made this thing. Which is kind of cool. The Flash is a bit more important in this, which is good. Because obviously Barry Allen is somebody we didn't really see. I don't think he's ever been in an Arkham game, and we haven't really seen him at all mentioned by Rocksteady.
There is already the meme going around that he was in all of the Arkham games, but just moving too quickly for people to notice.
That would make sense. But no, the game is quite loving in regards to that. The people who made it clearly care massively about the Arkham quadrilogy, because there's Origins as well.
Yes, true.
They really care about that. There's we put a video out on our TikTok and on a YouTube short of a man-bat Easter egg, of like a prop man-bat.
Yeah, he pops up around the side of a building, much in the same way that he does in Arkham Knight. I thought that was a lovely touch, actually. To be fair,
it's lovely, a big wooden sort of version of him as well. It's very cute. But I like that. The obvious love there. Traversal styles I think they're going to be mixed for people. I really like Harley Quinn's, but Matt and our team was saying he finds it really boring. But hers is a sort of slowed down Spider-Man. You have a grapple hook, but you can't shoot it forever. You have to kind of time it, and there's a rhythm. You've got Deadshot with a jetpack, which is much easier when first time I had it, I flew straight into an ocean and died.
I have seen that the jetpack also contains the amount of fuel as the ones in Anthem did, where they run out after about 5 seconds, but still pretty cool.
Yep. But you can hit, if you're playing on PS5, you hit L1 when you've stopped, and you just sort of randomly Deadshot, so it goes, come on, and sort of kicks
That's
a bit
quite
more
cool.
fuel into
That's
it,
quite cool.
Which is fun. The easiest one is Captain Boomerang. He's got a bit of the Speed Force, he throws a boomerang, and then he teleports to where it is.
Yes.
So much easier to get used to. He feels like the easiest character, really. And then the last one is King Shark, who
just goes for it, doesn't he?
I mean, the thing is, I say Captain Boomerang's the easiest character. A lot of people will say King Shark. He's the one you give to your little sibling.
Right.
It's just straightforward, get into the action. I think Boomerang is easier to play with, but King Shark is nice and straightforward. So I do like the different groups and the traversals and things like that. I feel like enough people are aware that they are good, but I want to say them again, because they are generally quite good about the game.
So here we go. That's a fair amount of positives that you've given there. The traversal mechanics, plural, are different. There's a lot of character variation going on here. There's a love of the source material and a good referencing of past Easter eggs, as they were for comic book nerds to seek out. Now, here's where I want to twist things slightly, because I'm actually going to take stuff that you've mentioned and start applying a bit of pressure to them, because you said that you got the game in early access, meaning that you must be of the 1% of people that actually did get to play the game before launch, because Warner Brothers were very cagey giving out keys for this game. In fact, they didn't give it to most outlets until the day of launch, which I do think strikes a bad chord, because we are it's a symbiotic relationship between the publisher and gaming outlets like ourselves, where we should be able to play and inform people with honest opinions based on footage and gameplay that we are allowed to have prior. When games come out like this, when they don't have proper coverage, all we have to go on is the marketing. And I do feel that that is a skewed perspective, that obviously it will mislead some people and maybe not give them the game that they were expecting because they weren't warned beforehand. Now, Let's move on to the second part. You were able to play this game in co-op, which sounds absolutely amazing. However, a lot of people are finding a lot of frustration with this game when trying to play single player, because even when trying to do single player, they are being told they have to be always online. That is a big problem in my book, because even if you're playing with bots, I do not, and I repeat not, want to have my internet connection be the sole decider as to whether I can play the game. There are people reporting that they haven't even been able to complete the final mission because there were server issues when the game launched proper, mean that people were constantly getting kicked out of their own game offline, which was maddening, I imagine. And yet, throughout all of this, Warner Brothers has found a way to pierce the veil, as it were, and keep the microtransaction store online throughout, despite the actual content of the game not being interesting. Read into that what you will. So, there we go. There's a few things there, back and forth, as it were.
I think, you know what?
And you look so tired. You look so instantly cooked by that.
You know what? I think I need to make the point, because obviously, although we are approaching it in a kind of for and against thing, I need to say two things that really annoy me about this. So playing online, 2 quests wouldn't start until I left the party, reloaded the game, and started them by myself. Then invited my friend back, then had to restart the quest, but it worked that time.
What?
That's a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
I'm sure stuff like that will be ironed out, because of course it will be, but that's very frustrating in the moment. Secondly, playing co-op means that I do not give anywhere near enough attention to the story.
Right.
And there's a lot of dialogue.
Yes.
I had to turn the subtitles off. Originally I had to turn them up because they were tiny, and then I realised why they were tiny, because so much screen gets bombarded with information, and it's a bit too much, really.
There's a lot going on.
I love hearing Kevin Conroy talk, but as someone who's played as Harley Quinn for the majority of my time, I'm really tired of the same barks.
Yeah.
It's like, Quinn doesn't care about her own safety. That makes her dangerous. I'm like, that's fantastic, Kevin, but it's the 4th time you've said that now, and if Brainiac's not listening to you, then maybe he's not as smart.
Yeah, true.
I want to get that across. As for the store, every store in a game like this is egregious. You see the memory of Suicide Squad. You see the menu. So you see the menu of Suicide Squad, the same as Warzone and all sorts of things. You look at it and it's like, go to the store, spend money. The only thing I really didn't like about it, because that's natural, I let it go.
Yeah. Okay.
And it is optional.
Yeah.
What I really don't like about it is there is, when you click on one of the costumes, so there's like, at the moment, there's a Harlequino, which is like a classic sort of Harley Quinn with the grease paint and the cool costume. That costs about 1,000, I think they're called Luthor coins.
Right.
Which is about £7.99. So
for one
£8,
skin?
I assume $8 to $10. That would buy you one skin. However, if you want the deluxe version of it, it costs you more, and that comes with 2 other colour variations, which aren't that much different, to be honest with you. If you want to spend more money, over double the original, to get extra stuff, it's all in one bundle. Now, I have no problem with buying bundles, but it's so weird that they have, clearly, like, in the menu, they're like, here's a bundle of 3 skins, or whatever. 3 costumes that are all the same bill, but, like, cool enough on their own that you can get it. But then to go, here's one, but if you want to have the best one, there's more. Well, if you want to have even better, there's more than that. I don't know. It feels a bit too predatory, in my opinion.
This game...
And I'm someone who spent a lot of money on Fortnite, Jules. I spent a lot of money on Fortnite.
Fair.
You know what I mean? I'm like literally, I was like, I spent too much money in this. They had Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. I was there throwing my wallet at the screen. Monitor broke, I had to buy a new one. Nightmare. But so I'm not against live service games at all. Like, I enjoy enough of them. But there's something about this, it just feels a little bit sinister. It's like a surcharge. It's like when you go to an American store for the first time and the tax is at the counter. It's like, just tell me that when I'm picking the item.
I find that it's a bit of a weird one, because obviously the game was, people got slightly early access for the pre-ordering the special super edition, which was like 100 quid, 100 plus quid for that, and then to charge them.
That's the edition that I basically got as well, Jules, just to be clear. So I didn't play it ahead of that. I got the same one that you could buy yourself.
But then, so you've got that, right? And then you pay, say, like 100 quid for it, and then you've got the skins on top of that. They're going to set you back, 16 quid for 3 skins. That is an absolute rip. We're veering into Evolve skins. We're evolving into, what was it, Dead or Alive? The one that had, you paid to change your hair colour, and you had to pay to change it back again. You didn't unlock it, you just paid to spray it. That was ridiculous. That's up there with that.
They put the actual for the actual hair salon experience.
But you know what?
In a way, it's groundbreaking.
But you know what? I am actually going to flip my own flip and actually say something positive about this game now, which is I have heard that alongside the traversal, there are some mechanics within the game that are worthy of praise and actually sound like pretty good features that maybe all sort of co-op looter-shooter style things should have. And that is that the person who is in last or first place gets to dictate where the team goes in their next mission because it's rewarding
first place,
so it's rewarding a team leader mentality, and therefore there's a slight competitive element between the group, which means that you can then dictate how the story unfolds, which I think is a very nice move. Reminds me kind of like the Call of Juarez games or Devil's Cartel, where there was influences that the players could make that shaped the overall experience. And then there was one other thing, which was if the certain missions reward certain heroes or villains, in this case, depending on how you want to look at them, they get big boosts to their stats because it's in their wheelhouse. Yeah. So it's like Captain Boomerang's got a personal beef with this person or the entire mission setup. So he's going to have like extra strength, extra movement buffs and all this other things. And I'm like, that's quite cool because you're tailoring things towards certain playstyles and encouraging people to try different characters to see if like, actually when King Shark's got this full like big boost here, it's the most fun I've had in this game. And I've also heard people say that the overall gameplay loop, the actual shooting mechanics, the traversal mechanics, the actual in-game experience is good. Clunky in some areas, but is a good laugh. It's just overwhelming when it comes to the amount of pop-up damage displays and HUD elements that are on that. For me, I watched people playing it, and I was a bit like, yeesh, it hits that vibe of being like Fortnite in the sense that there is a lot going on all the time, but I think that for somebody on the outside looking in who doesn't understand it, it's kind of like a mishmash. It doesn't seem to fit together well. It just is a lot of stuff that is happening.
It's a bit Ready Player One, but for DC in that regard, in that it's going to sound really harsh, but there's an element of a soullessness at times with the way things are. Also, the psyched up mechanic when it's like, oh, King Shark is better for this or Deadshot's better for this. That is fun. I do have a slight conflict with the party leader picks everything because, like, if you're down, because you can get knocked out, if you're downed in this game, and I choose not to get you up and I just rack up my score, then I get to sinister pick because, you know what I mean? So, and although you could argue that's in keeping with the ethos of the Suicide Squad. Another thing as well,
they're just out for themselves.
That I really want to mention is I think there's a real confusing thing about this game, and that is people maybe have forgotten that you're playing as relatively ordinary metahumans. Like, although I know that's weird that one of them's an anthropomorphic shark, but hear me out. The thing is that, without spoiling anything, the Justice League all turn up. And when they do, from Flash to Superman, Wonder Woman, whoever, when they turn up, you're aware you are nothing.
Yeah.
And the Suicide Squad are too. Like, there are moments where he could jump in and he look like, you've got Amanda Waller, the most annoying version of Amanda Waller today. I get it, she's talking to criminals, but I mean, like, how she ever got to be in charge of anything is a miracle. She's mean to everyone, even nice people. But anyway, when Amanda Waller is like, don't help them, do what I say, they are sort of torn between that and wanting to engage. I think it's just the strength of them makes them go, actually, I better not. And in a way, that's cool, but in another way, I think it's not what we're used to with games from Rocksteady set around superheroes, because we're used to Batman going, I'll knock everyone out. Yeah. In Gotham Knights, when we got that, it's like all 4 people could knock everyone out. This is fine. And even though you can beat anyone you fight during the game, the reluctance to face like the Flash head on or something, it makes sense in story.
I wouldn't want to do it. I'll tell you that much. Like, if I was given a gun and said, go try and shoot Barry Allen who can outrun every single bullet you fire, I'd be like, no thanks.
Yeah, and there's some really good moments in there where you get to sort of see these characters be themselves, and they're brilliant. If it was up to me, if they said, what would you do to make this differently, I would have made it a single-player game just starring Harley Quinn.
Yeah, she does seem to steal the show in every single cutscene that I've seen, every single interaction. Everyone is saying nothing but good things. And she is actually pushed to the forefront because she's the closest thing that they've got to the most relatable character out of them, and also is the most popular character, hands down, in terms of exposure in public media. So every single time there's a cutscene, she takes the lead. She has the funniest line. She pulls the trigger in some cases. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, there's things.
I know exactly what you mean.
So, yeah.
And the thing about that as well, that's worth pointing out, especially the pull the trigger illusion, is that Harley likes superheroes. Yeah. She respects them. At one point, in various canon and stuff, at one point she tried to go it alone as one herself. Like, she relates to them in a way that Captain Boomerang doesn't. Captain, Boomer just wants to kill the Flash.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't like this guy. He's a prick. And it's like, okay, that's
great motivation.
But everyone else is a bit richer.
Yeah.
Also, I will say his Australian accent that he has in it, which I'm not going to actually attempt for real, does sound a little bit like someone watched an episode of Auntie Donna and just went, that's what they all sound like when they're doing the joke accent.
Yeah.
Or like Tim Minchin's Storm, that sort of thing. It sounds really preposterous.
It's like overblown over the top, isn't it? And I feel like that could like go for most of the characters in essence. They are like the hyperbole of themselves from the comic books. They're very taken to the extremes. But I do find that does create a mismatch of tone, because this game presents itself as being over the top, bombastic, balls to the walls adrenaline, and for the most part I would say that it does actually hit those notes where it needs to, but it tries to go way too serious way too often, and it just kills the pacing. It basically is like, I would actually prefer if this game it fully embraced the Sunset Overdrive thrill ride from start to finish, roller coaster where you just don't even question things. It just happens. Stuff is just fast and furious, ridiculous levels. But sometimes it just goes, no, let's pull back. Let's get some human emotion here. And it's like, we don't care. I'm sorry, but we don't, like, it's not, these characters aren't meant to be the ones that we're sitting there pining out, looking out a window, dreaming of king sharks. It's just meant to be silly, over the top fun. Yet by the time that you come to the end of this game, it seems that they're trying to be like, existential crisis. What does it mean to be human? Do I have a purpose in life? It's like, it's treading that Dead Rising 3 problem where they did horror and comedy and they flipped between them so many times that you weren't sure which was the one they were trying to go for or hit the most. And it just didn't work in some cases.
You know what, because I do want to focus on wrapping things up, thinking of our poor video editor. But what I really want to make the point of, there are things I could praise more and there are things that I could criticise more.
Please do.
But I want to say one thing that I think is absolutely vital here. The reaction to the deaths of superheroes, which may or may not happen, you played a game, from people in a game called Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. Kills. Kills. Not has a stern talking to, not saves from the clutches of Brainiac. People are going to die, and that's it. Like, that's the point. It's what you sign up for. If you don't like that, please don't buy it. I'm not even being, like, glib. I mean, just do yourself a favour. You don't need to play every new release. You really don't. I think this is fun.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I expect you to pay for it. If the idea of Harley Quinn, putting down a superhero bothers you that much, which is up to you. Like, I'm not going to say anything about that. That's your decision, and you're entitled to it, all right? That's great. And I mean that, but
I don't.
If it's going to bother you that much, just don't play it. Just play Arkham again.
Yeah.
Give Gotham Knights another try. It's not as bad as you thought it was. Trust me.
It's worse. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. But to just interject and play devil's advocate very slightly here, I think that people have gotten into a furor about these situations with the deaths of these very, very beloved characters. However, while you are totally right in that they should know what they're signing up for, I do think that there are certain ways in which you can give these great characters an exit. And people are saying that there is a mismatch of tone between, say, Wonder Woman gets a different style of exit to another character, and that other character is causing such a conversation piece at the moment because it's something that potentially means more to fans, and I feel like there should have been a more dramatic closure to it, but maybe them putting a full stop punctuation point in a manner that was quite unpleasant, maybe that is the point. Maybe it's just because they aren't meant to care so much. It's a conversation that almost deserves its own video of how to kill off characters well, but I do feel that this is going to, spoiler alert, bring a lot of people back into the realms of The Last of Us 2, where a beloved character was given a very hasty exit that maybe wasn't dealt with how they would have liked. Not saying it was wrong, but I definitely think there could have been different ways to explore that. That's like my politician way of just saying it. I personally don't like it, by the way. I'm just saying I'm in the boat of saying I don't like it, but I understand where people are coming from. Who want to defend that as well,
absolutely,
but yeah,
and I agree that it's its own video of like how to kill them off. But I think, I just think that this game presents itself as hectic, quick, without ceremony, without grace. Things happen, they're bad, it's nasty. I mean, come on, you've got like a bomb in the base of your skull that can just go pop and just do you in. So it's very clear, like the Suicide Squad film by James Gunn. It's clear that, like, you really are supposed to just look at death as, like, tragically funny.
Yeah.
In that it's horrible because ultimately it is a tragedy for someone like, for instance, take a hero like Batman who's died 100 times in different continuities. When he dies, there is a tragedy and a humour to that because he always dies saving people, and most people wouldn't save him in the universe. So there is that kind of tragedy going on that you could talk about forever, and we won't because we're coming up to 20 minutes.
But there we go. I mean,
but,
yeah.
But,
But
it is worth saying. It is worth saying, Jules. One last thing, just on it, is that this game absolutely is not for everybody. But I do think that the gameplay itself, from combat traversal and things like that, like on the rudimentary level, is fun. I just think it's a bit repetitive. And if you're not invested in the story because you're playing co-op and chatting absolute breeze over the top of it, you may just switch to Fortnite.
And there we have it. Fortnite better than any other game out there, confirmed by James Daly, the official statement of the Future Game Show, apparently. So there we go. That has been our thoughts.
I think the Batman costumes are cheaper in Fortnite than they are in
Yeah,
this.
you could recreate it on there for much less money. But there we go. That's been our thoughts on Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Hope that you enjoyed that. Let us know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. Have you picked up this game? Have you tried it? And if so, what do you think of it? Are you angry about it? Are you upset? Do you think that things could have been changed? Let us know. And if you follow us on the social medias, you can do so. I am at RetroJ with the O being A0, and James is
at Games Daily. You can find me on X, it's Twitter, TikTok as well, and also please make sure you follow FGS on YouTube and TikTok because we make a load of great content like this. And Jules has a video every Friday,
I do.
which is always amazing. I've seen this one in advance. It's incredible.
Oh, well, there we go. That's always nice of him to say. Yeah, so stay tuned for all of that goodness, and we will speak to you soon. Goodbye.